Today's episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing. I'm a little bummed that the Cavs Summer League team is not going to repeat as champions in the Summer League in Las Vegas. They fell to the Lakers last night. They went 1-3 through their 4 regular season games. And frankly, that's a bummer. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get things off our chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show starts now. Booyah!
It's Friday, and baseball is back. How about that, gang?
Finally.
Baseball is back. I can't wait.
Worst week of the year. No sports.
Oh, my God, is it brutal. It is absolutely brutal. But baseball is back tonight. I'm going over to Progressive Field. Anybody else going? Friday night, beautiful weather. I'm in.
AJ's got a game tonight.
AJ's playing.
Yeah.
We'll be there tomorrow night.
We were talking AJ's hitting prowess.
Yeah.
When we shouldn't have been. Our mics were over. Mikey was trying his read. Keep me posted on how he's doing.
I will.
I've got a couple of guys who are in the teaching profession, and I've been showing his swing. I'm like kind of like a proud uncle.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I got to have you look at this and give me your thoughts. And everybody's super impressed with what he's doing. So.
Free shout out to Biosport in Westlake. They have totally
So that's where he's getting his
Biosport in Westlake. They've totally revamped his swing, and he's getting to massive. Still has to figure out breaking and off speed.
Right.
Massive power in the bat though.
Yeah, the pitch recognition sometimes is the last thing to come.
Yeah,
it's
that's
tough,
where we're at.
man.
That's where we're at.
And, look, there are guys 24, 25 years old that are making their way, try to get to the big leagues, and they still can't. It's not really, in their case, it's not pitch recognition, because that almost always comes. It's the discipline to lay off the stuff that you know is going to end up off the plate. Great stuff, great stuff. I hope everybody's doing well. Big weekend for the Guardians as they're getting ready to start the second half of the season. We call it the second half. They're almost at the 100-game point, so it's almost really like you're at the 2/3 pole of the race, almost.
Yeah.
A lot of the hay is in the barn, but this thing is not decided yet. So we're going to talk Guardians. We're going to talk Cavs Summer League. Bronny, how weird was it watching Bronny play the Cavs? I don't know if it struck you guys as odd. Struck me as extremely odd. And we're also going to talk Browns. So we've got the potpourri, a little bit of everything. Before we dive in, our first hello and good morning of the day to Mikey McNuggets. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? It is Friday. Little brother's in town this weekend, so we're going to have a good weekend. He's going to make his way down to the show in about an hour. So,
oh, great. Has he ever been here? I don't think so.
Yeah, he came when I first moved here like 2 years ago. But
but not into the show.
Not into a show, no.
Good.
So first time here. Very excited about that. We got 2 guests coming up today. Wayne Randazzo, who's calling the Guardians-Padres game, and then Ray Schulte, who is in charge of this giant card and collectibles show, which is coming to Cleveland next week at the IX Center, which should be very exciting. We're also on KYC for the last time for 3 weeks because of the Olympics.
That's right.
So it's our last 90-minute YouTube show on Friday for at least 3 weeks, and then we're back to regular scheduled programming. And one more programming note.
Yes.
There is no 2-hour in-studio UCSS on Monday, because we worked on Martin Luther King Day in January after the Browns playoff game. Tegna said, well, you got to take a random Monday off throughout the year. We'll still have some sort of content. We're not leaving you guys hanging, but it will not be a full 2-hour mothership programming like we do normally.
So Martin Luther King Day in July.
Yes.
I have a question for you. Did you see the list of superstars, and they are superstars, that are coming to that card show?
We have reached out to quite a few. Still waiting for responses.
I'm a big card guy. I don't think that's a secret. I can't wait because PSA, who is the grading police of the industry, they are the gold standard. They are the ones that if you're going to sell a card for max value, you want to get their stamp on it. And it's kind of a racket. They have the market cornered. Your card is worthless for the most part without a PSA stamp. And then once they stamp it, it's set in plastic, it's good to go, and it's locked in at a 10 or a 9.5 or whatever the grade is. They're going to be there, and they're doing on-site grading. I have had in my possession a Jordan rookie card for a very long time. And that's the Jordan rookie card that is sold for over $1 million.
Wow.
At its peak in the pandemic, it was around $875,000. Wow. This card is insane in value. Absolutely insane.
You want me to hold on to it for a little bit?
You can. Yeah, you know what? It's a funny story. True story. When Brad Sellers was in on a regular basis, I told him I had the card, and I said, look, if I get MJ's signature on it, it goes to $5 million. Wow. Just with his signature on it. And, we can cut a deal.
Yeah.
I'll give him a little bit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'll take a little bit. Everybody wins. Brad, you get a little bit for broker in the deal? He can't do that. He's already had a deal to sign 100 of them, I believe, or whatever the number was. He signed them, and now he's contractually bound. He can't sign them anymore.
Wow.
So I lost out on that. So I'm taking the card to the show to get graded. And
has it been graded before?
It's not. I've taken it to a number of shows. We did a pop at a show a couple of years ago.
Greenies.
And I took it to that. Yeah, I took it to that show. There were dozens of collectors there. And I had a lot of people offer me a lot of money for it, ungraded, knowing that they looked at the card. To me, it looks like a 10. To me, it does. It's been encased forever. Corners are crisp. It's centered. The color is bright. Those are all like the things that they look for.
Yep.
Now, they put it under a microscope that I just can't. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for.
Sure.
But I had a number of these dealers look at it. Now, these are guys who are trying to buy the card at a price, so keep that in mind. I had one of them tell me it's a 7. I laughed. I said, so you want to buy this at a 7 price? And he kind of chuckled and he goes, it's probably an 8. I took it to a lot of other guys who said, oh, that's a definitive 9. Now, they're not going to tell me it's a 10. They're trying to buy it from me.
Right.
And they want to get it at a discount.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I had some experts tell me, get it graded by PSA.
How did you get it?
Out of a box.
No way.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
When I was young, the height of my financial excitement was saving to purchase cards.
Yeah.
And I did it annually, probably for 15 years. And it started when I was umpiring Little League games and mowing lawns.
Yeah.
Every penny, every dollar I earned went right into a bank.
Yeah.
And as soon as I had enough for the Dunris set, I bought the full Dunris set. There was no internet back then. You had to order these out of magazines, and it took 3 weeks for them to come. It was brutal. But it was just the excitement of getting my hands on those cards. And for the most part, they went in the sleeves, and I never touched them.
That's smart.
I didn't, not because I thought they would be worth more if they were unhandled, strictly because I just felt like they're in there. I don't want to mess with them. I know I have them.
Well, I was the same way, except when I got the Jerry Rice Topps rookie card, which was worth nowhere near that. But
but keep that because the value of that skyrocketed.
Yeah, but I took a thumbtack and shoved it into my...
Oh! No!
So, yeah.
I don't have very...
That was me.
I think my mom has all my cards. And
so, go through them this weekend. Get them and go through them and just see what you have. Because you never know what you have.
Off the top, I got a Kobe rookie card and I got a Magic Johnson one.
Okay, those have value.
They got somebody, but it ain't no Jordan.
No, it's not Michael Jordan value.
No.
And
it's like
I work with a guy upstairs who's a serious collector. Serious.
Yeah.
Has millions of cards, most of them in unopened boxes. He's got all the LeBron rookies. He's got cards that are easily worth 5 figures, and they will be approaching 6 figures very shortly. The amazing thing is, out of a pack, 2 years ago, he got a Shohei Ohtani rookie signed, and the deal that Ohtani did with Topps was he was going to sign 5 of them.
And he got one of them.
He got 1 of 5.
Wow.
And I keep telling him, regardless of what the value is today, it's minimoski compared to what it's going to be down the road if he becomes the modern-day Babe Ruth.
Absolutely.
Which we all agree he's got the skill set to do it. So it's incredible what you might have and don't even know.
Is there a market, though, to actually sell them? But I guess there is. If you have people offering for the... But you probably have to go to those specific shows.
Most people sell their cards on eBay. if you want to, they post them on there and then it turns into an auction.
Boy, I'd be hesitant to do that, to buy it off eBay.
Yeah, there's verifying processes and all of that and a clearinghouse. But when you're talking about a card that could be worth $600,000, it's most likely going to be sold at an event like the one we have coming in Cleveland. This is the show of shows. And when you read through the celebrities that are going to be there.
I haven't seen the list. Who's there?
I got about a fifth of the way through it, and I literally stopped, and I'm like, this is fake. This is not real. When Ray's on, we can read through it. You've seen the list because I emailed you guys last week.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Admittedly, it's pretty crazy.
Anybody who's anybody.
And they're signing autographs at the show.
They're all signing autographs. This is their single biggest fundraising event for them.
Okay.
They come in, they sign autographs, and there are Reggie Jackson. He's an industry. How much money do you want to make this year, Reggie? Well, I don't know. My hand feels pretty good. I can sign 10,000.
Yeah.
So he'll pick the shows. This is one that's the Bible. They all do it. So I kid you not. Go to the website and look at this list, and you won't believe it. I got, like I said, a fifth of the way through it. And I said, this isn't real.
I actually think my son's going to that with my father-in-law. I heard them talking about some card show they were going to. It must be that.
It has to be this one. It's at the IX Center. We're going to talk
with Ray
Schulte, who's putting it all together at noon. So we'll get into more of that in a sec. Let's get into our topics of the day, though, after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show.
Mike, what playoffs are winding down?
It's the read and it got extended, so I'm going to have to say that for another month and a half.
We can't cross that out in the name of accuracy? I don't think they would want...
Let me reach out to our FanDuel executive.
I don't think they would want us to read copy that makes no sense.
They did literally just extend it for another month.
And that's great, and we should continue to read it, but maybe without saying as the playoffs wind down. It makes us look a tad out of touch.
It is fair, and there are currently no playoffs whatsoever going on.
No.
I don't know.
I'll reach out to our FanDuel rep, though.
Yeah, right. Maybe you can bet on that. Hey, Mike, one quick thing on the card show. I read this story this morning, and it's worth repeating. I read a story of a guy who in 1980, what year was Jordan a rookie? 83, was given a pair of tickets to the Bulls' first game of the season. He was a Northwestern student, but he was a freshman, and he didn't know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. School was just starting up. He didn't have a lot of friends. He tried to get someone to come to the game with him, and he couldn't. So Mr. Loner went by himself and kept the extra ticket that was a full ticket. It was never ripped. He came home, he threw it in a manila folder, and he literally forgot he had it.
Yeah.
Until decades later. He's going through that folder, and he's like, what is this? And then he remembered how it was there, and he's like, wow, this thing's pristine. It looks like it's never been touched. And it's got to be the only unused ticket from Jordan's rookie game. Wonder what it's worth. $500,000.
Oh, my God.
$500,000.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe that?
Man.
Pretty nuts, man.
I have 2 empty champagne bottles from the Cavs championship celebration. What's that worth?
There it is.
There's no way to validate what it is.
You know what?
I just picked them up out of the locker room.
Hey,
well, it could be proven probably from photos that it's the same kind.
Hey, do a DNA test on that.
See who is
what. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea.
See who that
is. Well, here's what you could do. And someone once told me this. I asked a question. I had a ball that was signed by a pretty famous player. And I said, how do I get this valued? And he said, here's what I tell everybody. When they ask me, how much is it worth? He always answers the same way. Whatever you can con one sucker into paying for.
Yeah, right.
And isn't that true?
That's true.
You might find a Cavs fan who's just an absolute nut about it, and you tell him you've got these 2 bottles, and he might say, I'll give you $5,000 for both of those right now.
Done.
Okay.
Sold.
In the meantime, bring them in and we'll put them on as set props.
Yeah, all right, I'll do that.
That could be kind of cool.
I don't know where they are.
That would be cool. Speaking of the Cavs, Jalen Tyson had a hell of a game last night. We'll talk about him in the TV show coming up at 12:30. But we did a little exercise yesterday, guys, that we're going to play Happy Face, Sad Face with, which is why you have them in front of you. I asked you guys to send me 3 qualities you think an NBA championship caliber team has to have in today's NBA, and I compiled a list.
And Mike trusts me so little, he made me go upstairs and follow him to answer the questions yesterday. I
called
physically have you.
I called G in the morning. I got all the answers.
He called me yesterday in the morning.
Yep, and I called G right after. This was essentially, I changed the wording on a few because a lot of them were similar but just phrased different. But in conclusion, the 6 big things we as a group determined you need to have to win at the highest level in today's NBA was 3-point shooting, at least 2 superstars, be able to get stops when needed, multiple versatile wings, multiple shot creators, and elite offensive head coach. So if you guys could be so kind to pick up your faces, we're going to run down that list and figure out if the Cavs meet this criteria. The first one was 3-point shooting. Do the Cavs have enough 3-point shooting to meet your criteria to win at the highest of high levels in today's NBA? Jay says no. Jason and G say. G says yes.
No fence riding here.
And Jason says.
I'm on the fence on this.
I know you are. I could tell by your.
Because they have. I'm going to say yes, they do.
Can I ask a question then to follow up with that?
Yeah.
Isn't it a 3-point shooting league?
It is.
Then why have they not had success?
Because George Niang is much better than what he showed in the playoffs. Mike, agree?
And I would say throw
he
Strus
was
in there too.
unplayable in the playoffs.
But he's a better player than what he showed. Darius Garland is a better player than what he showed.
I agree.
So I think if you want to go recency bias of how they played in the postseason this year, which, okay, that's fair because that's at the highest stage, that's what they performed.
Right.
It was still better than what it was the year before. I think that I'm going to say yes, that they had enough. They just didn't have guys play to their expectation. And if that happens again, then you have to question their makeup and are
Gee,
they
I'm surprised
built
you
for the
say
moment.
yes.
I think George Niang can shoot. I think Max Strus can shoot. I don't think Max Strus is a starter, but in certain circumstances, coming off the bench, I think he's a good shooter. I think Sam Merrill can shoot. He was hot at the beginning of the season, kind of, trailed off. I think, to be honest, Dean Wade can shoot the ball. He just was injured, not really active at the end of the year. So for me, those guys can shoot. Where gives me a little bit of pause is Darius Garland. Now, he's a better shooter when it just seems like he has the rock in his hands and he can move around and do things and have the autonomy to either I'm going to pull up from here or I'm off the dribble, I'm going to shoot. Where I think he struggled a little bit last year was he was not particularly a good spot-up shooter. And to play with Donovan Mitchell, that's one of the things that you're going to have to do. One of those guys is going to have to be off the ball. You got to be a really good catch and shooter. I will say that I don't think their offense was conducive to him catching and shooting with JB the way he ran it. I think if they ran some more, some different sets and had him be in different parts of the floor with Kenny Atkinson, I think he could become a better 3-point shooter. But I was borderline on it, but I do think they traditionally, if you look at their traditional splits, they have some shooting. They got enough 3-point shooting.
Mike, you can clinch this that I'm completely wrong here.
I don't know that you are completely wrong. I don't know that you're completely wrong.
I was on the fence. It wasn't like I was head over heels.
I gave it a second to think about it. It's interesting to hear you say it. All these guys can shoot.
Yeah.
Everybody in the NBA can shoot for the most part. The question is, do you shoot well? And to do that, I don't mean you had a game where you were 7 of 8 from 3. I mean, what does your back of the card stats say at the end of the year? That, to me, is the answer to can you shoot?
Okay, I'll give you this. They are streaky shooters.
Yeah.
They are. I've seen Dean Wade get hot. I've seen Max Strus get hot.
Well, look at January. The month of January.
I've seen Sam Merrill not miss. They are very. Even Donovan Mitchell, he's a streaky shooter. He can get hot and hit 3-4 in a row. I just think they're more streaky than
they were 13th in the league in 3-point shooting. That's not good enough.
Yeah, and to me, when we're talking about that, you're going to go right to that number, and that's middle of the pack.
And that's why you could easily say no, they don't have enough. I tend to think that they had guys that are better than what they showed
because
last
of being
year.
out of position like Strus.
Yeah, and just having
having
a bad year, and now you got a little bit more of an offensive-minded coach. That's why I think it's 51-49, which way you want to go, which way you want to answer it. If you look at the numbers, 13th is not good enough, 32%, that's not good enough to win a
Where were the
championship.
Celtics?
Top 10, top 5.
For sure, top 10. I'll look it up right now.
I
think
would
top
say
five.
Top 5. I would think top 5. Mike, what say you? Are they a good? Do they have enough shooting?
Do they have enough shooting? Yes. I'm right in line with Jason. If you wanted to go no, I would totally hear that argument. If you wanted to go yes, I would totally hear that argument.
Okay.
My issue is, do they have enough shooters? Yes. Can they play all those shooters at the same time, and are they willing to play those shooters at the same time? Or are they going to be stuck playing multiple non-shooters at once? And then if they are doing that, is there enough shooting on the floor? Not on the roster. There's enough shooting on the roster. Can you get that shooting on the floor? That's the question. That has to be unlocked.
I think it's well said. The other thing too is when you take a categoric shooter like
Boston was second in the NBA in threes.
Okay.
OKC first.
Yeah.
Are you
OKC
going percentage or made?
Probably percentage.
What do you want? Makes?
I would go with percentage because to me,
Boston was first in makes per game by 2 threes over anyone else.
So they were first in made and second in percentage.
By 0.1% below Oklahoma City.
Right. It's clearly a shooter's league. To the point of frustration to many fans. To me, I miss some of the fundamental things that have been washed out of the game because of the importance of the three today. I will say this, Mike. There are some guys that are pure shooters. And when you put them in the game, yes, now you have a shooter on the floor. But the question is, and this is the math that every franchise has to do, it's a plus-minus equation. What you gain in having that shooter on the floor has to outweigh what you lose in having a lack of a defender or a lack of a ball handler or a lack of a guy that can, quite frankly, do anything else. Because if that was the case, you'd have 10,000 guys that currently aren't in the NBA that could be because they can stand behind the three-point line and just make. But there's more to it than that. And so it's the equivalent of a baseball player. He can hit a fastball all day long, but he can't hit the off-speed stuff. Well, he's not a big leaguer then.
Yeah.
And so I just want a guy who can shoot and can bring something else to the party.
That's why 3-and-D guys, the most valuable commodity in the NBA today. We got 5 more traits that we identified. Let's make sure we get through those before we welcome Wayne Randazzo on in about 10 minutes. Multiple superstars, at least 2. Do the Cavs currently have multiple superstars? Jay says yes. Jason says no. G says no. Jay, you're the lone yes here.
Yeah, I like to be the dissenting voice, apparently. Here's how I would make that argument. And I know that we're all killing the Cavs and the fact that Darius Garland is a max player.
Right.
He's not a max player. And he's not even the guy I'm going to say is the second superstar. It's clearly, we know who the superstar is on this team. It's Donovan Mitchell. As critical as I have been of Evan Mobley fits my criteria for a superstar. And here's why. The things that he's been able to master in the NBA so far at a very young and early age in his career tell me that his arc is superstar directional. It's going to that area. Is he quite the superstar yet? Maybe not. But when I bring up trading him, you know what I hear? Where did you leave your brain? I've heard it from you.
Yeah.
I've heard it from Mikey. I've heard it from viewers. I hear it from fans that I just run into on the street. They ask me to justify the notion that I want to trade Evan Mobley. And the argument that I give is, if you have 8 pieces to a puzzle, and the puzzle piece, or the puzzle has 8 pieces to it, it doesn't mean you can complete the puzzle. You might have pieces that don't click into place. And Evan Mobley may be that guy. And the reason I say that is because in January when he was out, we saw Jarrett Allen blossom into a guy that we'd hoped Evan Mobley could become. And Jarrett Allen was becoming that guy right in front of us. So sometimes the sum doesn't equal, what does that say?
Parts.
The whole of the parts. I think that Evan Mobley is a superstar by the sheer fact that everybody in the basketball world thinks I'm crazy when I mention trading him. So I do think he is a superstar. And I think we've got the pieces are here. It's now up to the new coaching staff and Atkinson and everybody else to piece them together.
All right. So would you guys classify Scotty Barnes as a superstar?
I do not.
No.
I don't. I mean, go ahead.
To this point, Scotty Barnes has had, I would say, a better body of work than Evan Mobley. Now, the one rebuttal to that is he plays on a team in the Raptors where he's going to get a lot more.
Somebody's got to get those points.
He's going to have
it's
more
like
opportunity.
Kevin Love in Minnesota.
To me, I look at Evan Mobley. Does he have? And a lot of times people say, why would you want to trade him? The potential is there. So it's just like having, you got a lottery ticket, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to keep the lottery ticket because it might turn into multi-millions. It's like having, we just talked about rookie cards, right? Evan Mobley is one of those dudes that if you got his rookie card, you're like, hold on. Do I want to keep this or do I want to keep Cade Cunningham's card?
No, you're keeping
You're keeping it Evan Mobley because, to your point, he's already doing something that a lot of people don't do.
So you're making the case that he is a superstar.
I wouldn't give him a superstar status yet. If he gives me one more thing, to me, a superstar has to be able to do three things, right? You got to have three skills that transcend a lot of different things. He already has a couple of them. Defense, I like the fact that he plays defense on the ball, off the ball. He can block shots. He has two other good traits, and they can get there. Like, I think he doesn't rebound the ball enough at a higher clip.
You want to see more?
I want to see more rebounding, but that's almost there.
Okay.
And all they got to do is give me one go-to move. It don't got to be a three-point shot. Maybe it's a baby hook. Maybe it's something that if I give you the ball down low, you can hit a dead spot jumper. You can give me, or if he reaches the level of passing, because I think he's a very, very good passer. Given the right system, I think he'd be a guy you can facilitate through. Okay. If he hits those two, I would give him a superstar. I think he's right under a star right now.
A superstar, to me, is the top X player in the league.
What is that number?
But it varies.
Yeah.
Some years it could be 10,
to me,
12,
it's got to be
15.
more than 30 because there are teams that do have two superstars.
See, I don't think it's more than 30.
You don't.
If you're talking superstar,
you're still talking top 6%.
I think it's top 15 player in the league. Mike, where do you?
Top 30.
Wow. Okay, then my definition was just different.
Well,
Stars is different than superstars.
Right.
This
That's
one came
exactly
from
it.
UJ yesterday.
That's
I could
exactly
rip
it.
off 20 names right now, and I think you'd be hard pressed to tell me that of the 20 that no one in there is not a superstar.
Are you talking about all, like, there's 24 All-Stars, right?
There's 15 All-NBA guys. I feel like if you're in the All-NBA conversation,
so
what about the guys
you.
that were just left off? Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
Well, but he's in the conversation.
But he's made an All-NBA team. That's why I'm saying top 15, maybe top 20, but no more than that.
Well,
that's
if
just,
you
that's
use
just
that
for
strict
me.
definition,
That's
then
just for
nobody
me.
has two superstars.
Lakers. Celtics.
I don't know. There's only 15. You're going to tell me that between the other teams in the league, 11 players is all you got?
I mean, LeBron and Davis are both top 15 guys in the league. Tatum and
Brown.
Probably top 15 guys in the league.
I think
Even
when
if you
put
want
them
to
together, they become a tandem of
you
superstars.
could take it to 30, and I still wouldn't put Evan Mobley in that class.
That's
not
very
yet.
possible.
Not yet. Now, he has the potential to be there. Yeah. But the question is right now, do the Cavs right now have two? And nobody's been higher on Mobley than I have, but I can't put him in the top 25, top 30 of the league. He's just not there yet.
No.
He's going to sign a max contract before October. That's going to happen.
Sure.
I mean, Franz Wagner got a max deal, which is insane.
You know what? I like him a lot.
I don't like him as a max. There is no way he's a
well,
max
I don't know
player.
that I like him as a max, but I mean,
but where these
teams
contracts
get into
are,
these situations where they're between a rock and a hard place. Look what the Cavs did with Darius.
Well, that's it. Like, the Cavs are going to have 3 max players here next year.
Right.
If this thing stays intact, Darius, Donovan, and Evan are all going to be on max deals starting next year.
How many max players are there in the league?
A lot more than what are worth it. Because you're going to see that more and more. And that was one of the conversations I was having in Vegas. I was like, this is nuts. Franz Wagner is not a max player. And the rebuttal was, wait until you see where these salaries are going in 2 and 3 years. It's going to look like a deal.
Well, I've read things that they're saying that these deals are going to double.
It's insane.
I don't know how
they're tied to this percentage of the salary cap. So as the salary cap goes up, deals go up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you've seen some of these projected numbers for
Donovan Mitchell is going to be eligible for a $380 million extension.
Let that sink in for a second.
Yeah. And Jalen Brunson's going to be eligible for a $417 million extension.
We talked on text.
My goodness.
About, I ran the numbers about like when there'll be $100 million annual deals. It's coming. Where these guys are going to make $100 million a year. By the end of the decade, I think. Yeah, by the end of the decade.
6. Well, it's tied.
Hey, G, hold on. Only because we have a guest come up in 3. We got to run through the last couple. We spent a little too much time on the card show off the top, so we're going to get to the next one. Can the Cavs get stops when needed? Yes or no?
I'm a yes.
Jay says yes.
See, I will say yes, but we don't know because everything's changing defensively. So, but they have the defensive personnel to do it, but is the scheme going to be the same because JB was such a defensive-minded coach?
Yeah, that's a great unknown.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah, that's good.
And for the sake of this, we're going to take it and move on. Do they have multiple versatile wings? Gee, I'll let you go on this one.
I'm gonna tell you this. I saw something the other night that I kind of liked, and I'm gonna say yeah.
I'm gonna say I don't think they have one.
I don't either.
Multiple.
Can we have one?
Hey,
I would argue we have zero.
Yeah, I don't think we do. I think that's clearly our need, and that's the missing link from this team being a
why do
real
you say
contender.
yes?
because I like what I see out of Jalen Tyson. I think he has a. I think he got a.
In the summer league.
Hey, listen, he got a grown man type game. Like I just watched him, the way he moved on the court, he's more physical.
I hope you're right.
He do 3 or 4 things. Like he shot the ball pretty well. He can facilitate, and it didn't look like it was too big for him. Like all of the young wings that they got, time will tell what they look like with Kenny Atkinson and what they can do. But I like the draft pick. Like I told McNuggets the other day, I would think about giving him serious minutes. Like I'm not playing. Like he's.
We're gonna talk more about Tyson in the TV show because his game last night was summer league taken consideration, but a very impressive 21 point, 11 rebound, 9 rebound performance. So the Cavs have multiple shot creators.
Yeah.
Jason, what say you?
Yeah, I think they do. I count Darius and Donovan both
I
as,
do too.
as shot creators.
Even though I don't want, at the end of the game, I don't want that to be Darius. I want it to be Donovan. But I've seen enough throughout his time in the NBA to know that he can make his own offense.
I mean, Caris LeVert can get his own shot. Caris LeVert can get a shot when he wants to. Like, yeah.
There are levels to this, but if the question is, are there multiple shot creators? Yes.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Like, this exercise ultimately leads us to what?
We got one more, and then I'll tell you where this goes.
Okay.
I see Wayne chiming in 1 sec. And last but not least, and this is this was a G. Bush submission. You need an elite offensive head coach. It may be too early to give a definitive yes or no, but from what you know about Kenny Atkinson, would you give him a
I don't think
yes
he's
or no
I don't think we can say he's elite offensive. I think he is an offensive-minded head coach, but we don't know enough to say that he's elite. Elite is a special word.
Right, which is why I'm saying I'm going both on this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We just don't have enough information.
I'll tell you in February.
I'm on the fence. But here, if you just want to go in the Cavs schedule, is he an elite offensive coordinator compared to JB? Sure he is.
So if it's an upgrade,
is it an upgrade? Yes. To me, it's an upgrade.
But again, we don't know.
But what you're gaining on offense, how much are you losing on defense? There's a scale to this.
It's the old math equation. Mm-hmm. Is what you gain more than what you lose? And we're going to find out.
So that means out of an 18 possible yeses, the Cavs meet that requirement.
Yeah.
We gave them 11 out of 18 in
Okay.
total. So that is above the 50% threshold, which means by this exercise, the Cavs have the requisite DNA to compete for a championship.
I don't know. 11 18 is
It's funny. Like, so if you took a look at 11 of 18, like a championship team having 18, let's just say. Like if you asked this question to 3 Celtics observers, and they said, yes, they have all 5 of those, and everybody agreed on the panel, that would be a perfect score. What I say about 11 of 18 isn't that about where they are in the league? That's a little better than 50% would be you've got 9, 10, and then 11. So it's fair. Like you're a playoff team, but you're not making a run, and that's exactly where they are.
Yeah. To me, if they wanted to be championship contenders, they had to be 14 out of 18.
I agree. I think a contender would have 14.
We'll do this for the Celtics next week, but we got to put a wrap on this because we have our first guest of the day ready. And we're going to bring in Wayne Randazzo after a quick word from eBay Motors. Pass and drive and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available for U.S. customers. And with that, we're going to welcome in Wayne Randazzo, who is calling tonight's Guardians-Padres game on Apple TV+. Wayne, thanks for joining us this morning. How you doing today?
We got to hit a audio button, I think.
Wayne, can you not hear us? I'm getting audio levels. He gave us a thumbs up earlier.
I think maybe his mic is muted, perhaps.
Give us 1 sec. You guys fill.
All right.
You want us to sing? You want us to dance? What would you like us to do? So let's talk about the Guardians, who come into the post-All-Star break tonight. I live in my fears. You guys know that because I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. So I often say on this show, what worries me or what scares me most, because that's where I live. I am concerned, I am now officially extremely concerned that what we saw in the first half was a bit of a mirage, and I'm not sure the sustainability as we go into the last 70 games, particularly when you look at what the Twins have become. It's almost like it was reversed.
Yeah.
The Twins were expected to be a powerful team and make another run at the division title, and they started so slowly. At one point, they were double digits back early, and everybody's like, wow, okay, I guess it's going to be Cleveland's division to win, or maybe Kansas City. So that's my fear right now. My fear is they overachieved. The reality of no Shane Bieber and a pitching staff that if you put it together on paper and that's all you looked at, you'd say, yeah, this team is probably 10 games under 500 right now.
Yes.
I'm afraid that keeping that magic going is going to be a little more difficult than we probably thought.
They have to keep the hitting going. Like before, when your pitching is doing well, you can say, oh, that's a nice story. Look how great the hitting doing. Like, we're getting the best of both worlds.
Sure.
Not no more. Like, they have to continue to hit the ball at the pace they've hit. Quan needs to still hit the ball. Fry needs to hit the ball. You still need Naylor to be driving in runs. And you're going to start to have these other guys like Jimenez start to hit the ball as well. Like, at this point, they have their identity this year has been a team that has been, surprisingly good offensively. It can't be a surprise no more. They got to continue to do that because the starting pitching just ain't there.
Jay, are you afraid like I am?
No, because obviously you want to win the division. Obviously.
Sure.
It's a huge advantage.
Are you going to the wild card?
This team's going to the playoffs, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're a playoff team. And we
barring
were
a complete
total collapse.
By the way, you look at Boston, you look at some of these other teams.
It'll be a race.
I mean, I know the Orioles and Yanks have stepped back too.
But, I mean, luckily the trade deadline's in about 10 days, 10, 11 days.
So help is coming.
Their help is coming. You would think. They're going to do something. I don't know what.
What's the inside word on that?
I don't know that they're going to land a starting pitcher. And I know that's what everyone wants. And that's what I want. And I've said, I'm on record, I don't necessarily want a starting pitcher for October. You just need a starter to get to October. You just need someone to chew up until you get there.
Sure.
If they go the route of adding another bullpen arm, if it's someone like a Mason Miller, I'm actually okay with that.
Oh, listen, who wouldn't want Mason Miller on
if
their
you
roster?
if you can make the playoff games a 4-inning game, 5-inning game,
you can get by with this pitching.
You can get by.
Yeah.
You can do it. You just have to get there, and you can't kill these guys between now and October.
And that's another fear of mine.
Right.
You look at the odometer and you're checking the tread on the tires. It could be time for a new set real quickly.
Yeah. Obviously, you're putting a lot of faith in Gavin Williams. I am, at least.
I am too.
And it's unfair what we're asking. I've been beating the drum on Tanner Bybee all season long. He's a second-year pitcher. It's unfair to ask of him what I and the Guardians are asking of him.
So is Gavin.
But it's the position that you're in. Like, life's not fair sometimes. So sorry that we're not being fair to you, but this is the expectation.
But win.
Yeah, this is what you got to do.
Why is it, Jason, why won't they get a starting pitcher?
I don't know how many are going to become available. And hopefully some teams fall out of this over the next 10 days.
That's what's killing us right now.
There's not enough. There
are too many teams within a stone's throw of the wild card.
And to me, what's really going to hurt them is the fact that the Orioles and Dodgers both need pitching. They both need starting pitching, and they have much deeper, more talented farm systems than what the Guardians have. Yes.
Wow,
at the
really?
top end,
Okay, that
at the top
surprises
end, the elite 1 through 5, it's not even close.
No,
now, are they
that's
willing
what
to,
I would give you.
Yeah.
But in terms of depth,
well, okay, fine, yeah, depth.
I don't
depth
think
the
there's
Guardians,
that big a difference between the Orioles.
The Guardians run
Guardians.
pretty deep, but the high-end talent, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Baltimore has guys in their minors right now who should be playing in the majors.
They do,
and they can't even get on the roster because of the guys in front of them are so good. So I think Baltimore is going to control the starting pitching at this deadline.
Yeah.
If it's a matter of who are they willing to trade a Kobe Mayo? Are they willing to trade a Heston Kjerstad? You know,
what are you hearing?
I don't know what's going on with Baltimore.
Right.
I would imagine that they're going to trade those guys because Jordan Westberg has emerged as like a potential star, and I think he was looked at as a placeholder. He's had such a good year for Baltimore at third base that it probably makes a Kobe Mayo available now.
Sure.
To where I think they were going to. I think they probably thought
that
Mayo
does
would be
put
here
us
by
at
now.
a distinct disadvantage.
Absolutely. But the thing, and I mentioned this to Bull, and Bull sort of said, yeah, I said the same thing. The Bazana draft to me frees up Rocchio now.
I agree.
To where you can be aggressive. I want Bo Bichette. That's my number one. I want
Over
Bo
a pitcher?
Bichette. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Over a
really?
pitcher. I want Bo Bichette on this team.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, I mean, the Jays have Orelvis Martinez, they have other guys they can, as they look at as prospects, middle infield guys too. I'm just saying, you can be more aggressive now and go get somebody to fill a short-term need at shortstop, presuming, and you take Bazana because you believe he's going to be here by June next year.
Do you think there's any world which he's called up this year?
Here's what I told Bull.
Because I told Bull he's going to be here in September.
Here's the one scenario that I think could play out. Last year in September, the Rays called up Junior Caminero, former Guardians farmhand,
right,
who's going to be a superstar in this
wish
league
we had
the
him.
way he's tracking. They called him up for the last week or two of the season and then had him on the postseason roster.
Right.
They could do that with Bazana, depending on how July, August, and September go with him. If they think he can help them.
Is he
if
going
he's
to
ready.
Akron?
I haven't heard. I
Yeah.
don't know. But if they could bring him up for the last week or two, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to start the contract clock on this year. But you can roll it back. Whatever service time he contributes or allots this year, collects this year, you can roll it back. He's not going to start next year in the majors. So you could roll it back.
That's an assumption. If he comes up and he tears the cover off the ball,
then maybe
he's
he does.
here and you just eat the year.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, by the way.
And maybe you're right. I shouldn't say so definitively he's not. The Rays, that's what the Rays did with Caminero. He's had a ton of injuries this year.
Right.
But they said, like, he needs more seasoning. He's not starting the year with us. He's going to the minors. So you can manipulate the clock that way.
Sure.
Unless if he just comes up in his monster bonkers.
And it's undeniable.
And then Jimenez is your shortstop and Bazan is your second
That's the way it
baseman.
works with first picks. When you get a first pick, people watch them get drafted on TV, and guys like me are going to be like, hey,
I want him.
I want to see this dude play.
I don't think there's any way he's in Cleveland before the last week of the season, the last week or two,
Right.
where you just kind of get your feet wet a little bit. It's exactly how the Rays handled Caminero.
Right.
And then if he's overwhelmed, if it's a Jackson Holiday situation, okay, he's not on the postseason roster, and we'll start again next year. If he doesn't look overmatched, if he looks like he can help you like Caminero did, then you can have that conversation and you can worry about the contract clock next year.
The one thing I mentioned on Monday's show that really concerns me about this situation, we see pitchers can make that jump.
Yeah.
With hitters, it is so drastically different because it's a pitching league. That's how, you need pitching. That's the commodity. He's going to be seeing pitchers, not necessarily in Akron, but when he gets here, he's going to be seeing pitchers that were far and above where the average pitcher was that he saw, particularly because of the conference he played in. Wasn't like it was the SEC where that's like almost a double-A minor league deal. He's going to be seeing great pitching every day, and that 407 can become 207 in a click.
Sure. And you know what actually makes me feel a little bit better about it is Ali Rutschman is doing just fine. Stephen Kwan never went back to the minors.
Yeah.
And they're both Oregon State products who went through exactly what we're – because you look at the Pac-12 and you go, I don't know, it's the Pac-12. I thought the exact same thing. It's not the SEC.
Right.
But when you look at guys that program specifically has produced, I mean, Rutschman was a one-in-a-generation type talent coming out as a catcher.
If they get anything near that with Bazzana, you're talking about now with the first 4 in your lineup, you're literally talking about a team that would probably be penciled in at the top of everybody's AL Central Division pick
for sure.
for a number of years.
And Bazzana I don't think was ever viewed in the class of Rutschman. But, whatever. He's here now, and obviously you're expecting a lot out of him being the number 1 overall pick.
He broke a lot of Rutschman's records.
I know, but I still don't think he's looked at as the MLB prospect type that Rutschman was coming out. But, hey, listen.
I love the kid swing.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you can pencil him in as the number 2 spot in this order, and and now suddenly you just added a little bit more depth to this thing, there's been
a lot of conversation about how does the transition from second to short go.
Yeah.
Because, when you win Gold Gloves, you're usually like, okay, that's where you live now for the rest of your life.
Right.
But I don't look at it that way with middle infield in particular because I've done that my whole life between second and short.
Are you talking Jimenez now moving?
I am talking about Jimenez.
Okay.
So if Bazzana sticks, clearly you put him at second. And I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't.
I don't think it is
He
either.
is an elite athlete who was a shortstop coming up.
Yes.
So, he's just going home.
And let's remember, Andres Jimenez is such a special athlete.
Oh.
He is a natural left-handed player. He's left-handed. He throws left-handed.
Right.
He taught himself to throw right-handed because he wanted to catch. He loved being a catcher. I was talking to him in spring training about this. He wanted to be a catcher as a kid, so he taught himself how to throw right-handed. You don't think you can play shortstop? I promise you can play shortstop.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubts.
Plus, it might make that contract feel a little bit better if he doesn't live up to the player that we thought he was going to be when he signed that deal coming off his monster breakout offensive season.
Right.
You can live with it a little bit more. Second base is not an elite premier position. Shortstop is.
No, but to your point, Jason, if Bazzana brings the kind of production that everyone's hoping he does, it makes it easier if Jimenez's production is less. Because you're looking at it as a package.
Yes.
Like, what are you getting from the middle of your infield?
Right.
And if he can be okay at short with diminished production if Bazzana becomes the guy we think he can.
And who knows if it is, but if this is Andres Jimenez's peak as an offensive player, what he provides you defensively from a premier position like shortstop, I just feel like it makes that contract a little bit easier to live with.
I agree.
So Wayne, for whatever reason, I'm going to blame the outages this morning. The audio just would not link up.
So
with
we
his
lost
computer.
Wayne then.
So we're not going to bring Wayne on, which is a shame.
It's too bad. I really wanted to talk to him.
He's calling the Guardians Padres game tonight on Apple TV Plus, so make sure you guys tune into that. We have another Guardians topic we're going to dive into, and that segment is brought to us by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking the same thing this week, and I was just really bummed out that there was no Guardians baseball for 4 days across the middle of the week, and it just brought my entire mood down. So I talked to my therapist about it, and she told me to go find other outlets and find other ways to entertain yourself at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday and Wednesday night other than sitting down and watching a Guardians game. Therapy can be different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get these kind of things off our chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. As the Guardians get ready to start their unofficial second half of the season, a guy they need to turn it around is one David Fry, who got off to a scorching hot start to the season, but over the last 30 days has found himself in a bit of a slump. Over the last 30 days in 64 at-bats, he's hitting just .203. He has not hit a home run. He has 3 RBIs. His OPS is about half of what it was about a month and a half ago at just .554. Do you think the RBI in the All-Star game that David Fry was able to get in front of his hometown crowd, not Cleveland, but he's from Arlington, Texas, is that enough to kind of build the momentum and confidence back up in David Fry to break him out of this slump? Or is this just the reality of who David Fry kind of was always meant to be?
Yeah. No, one at-bat's not going to do it. It typically doesn't, particularly when you have 4 days off after that at-bat or 3 days off after that at-bat.
That's actually I think one at bat can. Like sometimes you just need to see
if you get back in the batter's box an hour later and you do something else.
You just need to see it hit the green one time. Just hit the green one time.
Yeah, I disagree.
Start to get a little bit of momentum. But the fact that it's one hit and then it's 4 days off again,
it doesn't help.
Baseball is a daily game.
And that's why I don't think it's going to be enough. If it was a pinch hit walk-off home run, okay, then the inertia and the energy and the excitement of that might carry you over to Friday and into the second half. Again, living in my fears, I think the clock struck midnight for David Fry around June 1st, June 10th, somewhere in there. It's the last month that, to me, is what we all expected David Fry was going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
A 200 hitter who you could plug into multiple positions and give you a little bit of versatility. And why this happens and how this happens, I don't know. You're too young. Kids at home, here's a little history lesson for you. Google Kevin Moss.
Oh, I remember Kevin Moss.
I didn't think you were old enough to remember Kevin Moss.
Lefty power hitting first baseman for the Yankees.
For a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, for
so
about a half a
Kevin
season.
Moss came up, and there is something to this. I've talked to guys that have played for the Yankees but spent most of their career elsewhere. And I asked them all this question because you always hear the power of the pinstripes.
Yeah.
I have had guys tell me that their entire career, they just dreamt of being traded to the Yankees to see what it felt like to be part of that mythical Babe Ruthian experience. And they all said the same thing. The first time I put on that uniform and saw myself on television or in a mirror, I felt like it was a cape. And they went out, and so many times they just killed it their first week or month or whatever.
Shane Spencer's.
Actually, the list of guys that have done that is long.
Yeah.
Now, now I know you won't remember this, you can also have the reversed effect. For that, I go to Ed Whitson, an old pitcher who signed a notoriously mammoth contract to come save the Yankees and return them to excellence. And when I say he melted, I mean he Ryan Leaf melted under the pressure.
Right, Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson's another guy.
Yeah.
You put them in Pittsburgh, but it does have a weird effect. And for me, watching David Fry, I'd see him hit a big clutch pinch hit home run, and I'd look at the clock and say, what is the proverbial time?
Right.
What time is it? Is it 11:59 yet?
Yeah.
And sadly, because I was rooting for this guy so strongly, and I'm not ready to throw the last shovel of dirt on him yet, and he may be a serviceable big leaguer for years because of his versatility. But he ain't what we saw the first 2 months of the season.
Man.
That's just not who he is. And we all knew it, but we were trying to ignore it.
Like my grandfather used to say, sometimes you just need a work car. I'm like, what's a work car? Something to get you back and forth to work.
Is David Fry the work car?
Just a work car. And when work cars die, and you get them for a couple $100, you get 6 to 8 months out of them. You don't cry when the work car, dies. You say, I got my money's worth.
You go get another one.
David Fry was a guy that was a work car.
So you are burying him.
I'm not burying him. I think he still could get you to work. But you got to put oil in it. You got a couple leaks here and there right now at this point, and you might be wanting to plan a little bit to see, winter's coming. I might want to be coming around, looking around for another car.
Sure.
For me, the book is on him. You know this, Jay, man. Sometimes it ain't about whether or not how he's hitting. It's the fact that the pitching is now like, okay, we'll pay attention.
They've
to
adjusted to what he does.
We'll pay attention. We wasn't thinking about you, but now that you want to hit the ball, you want to hit 300 and have your OPS be that high. Well, okay. Well, we know you don't like sliders away. Well, you don't. You reach on pitches outside of the zone on off-speed breaking pitches, right? They know everything. They know where you like it, where you don't like it, the zones. And now you start to see guys that aren't as talented as the Jose Ramirez's or the Quans that can adjust in the middle of the season. You start to see their numbers go down a little bit.
10 years from now, we're going to look back and go, remember when David Fry was an all-star? How
Remember
wild?
Joe Charbonneau for a minute?
How wild was that?
Yeah.
Listen, obviously, the fear is that he's come crashing back to earth. He was so good that you can't walk from him yet. I think you have to keep. I mean, I remember I was one of the last to saying, to relent and say, okay, fine. you got to find a spot to play this guy every day. You've won me over.
This idiot sitting here said trade Bo Naylor and make him your everyday catcher.
Well, I wasn't willing to go that far.
Which is why I say I'd make the worst general manager ever. I am way too emotional.
I wasn't willing to go that far, but you had to create a spot for him to play every day. He was too hot. You got to ride it while it's there. And I think you guys are right. There's more tape on him now. Pitchers know how to attack him now. There's a scouting report on him now. Yeah. He's a name that you go over now in the pitchers meetings.
That's a big one
before the series.
When your name's at the top of the pitchers meeting.
Now is a
damn book.
Yeah. Now you'll find out if he can. It's all cliche, but it's true. Now can he adjust back? Now can he learn? And I don't know what exactly it is that they figured out, but whether it's slider away on 0-2 counts that he'll chase or whatever it is, can he make that adjustment back to lay off those pitches or learn how to foul them off or do something with them? And that will determine the career that David Fry has. Because a bunch of guys come out of nowhere and have great careers that you never heard of. That's not that uncommon and unusual. Mm-hmm. That happens. But now is the point that determines if David Fry becomes that guy, becomes one of those guys that never had much of a minor league hype career, prospect guy who goes on to have a very successful career, or if he's a one-hit wonder that dies off. This will determine it the next few months.
I should probably give context to Kevin Moss. I said I'll give you a little history lesson. He famously hit 10 home runs in his first 72 at-bats.
I remember.
He was a 22nd round draft pick. It was one of those guys, but in Columbus, he was tearing the cover off the ball. They said, I think Don Mattingly got hurt. And they said, well, we needed a first baseman. And for a minute, we thought we had Wally Pipp Part 2. Yeah. Because Wally Pipp was famously replaced by Lou Gehrig in 2,130 games later. Gehrig finally got out of the lineup. But Kevin Mott, in New York City especially, they will start fitting you for your Hall of Fame bust after 3 weeks of great baseball. The writers in New York are very, very emotional, as I am. And they were saying of Kevin Moss, oh, my God, he is... Don Mattingly better watch out. He just lost his job. Yeah. I don't know how many career home runs Kevin Moss finished with, but it wasn't a lot. And he never lived up to that. He came crashing back down to earth. Here's what might be the cherry on the cake for David Fry. And I cherry on the cake. I don't know if that's even right.
I'll eat cherries on
the
cakes.
Dessert.
I'll eat anything on a cake. Look at me.
If it is over, what a final last page. What a great, and I'm not saying that his career is over. I'm saying this magical David Fry is a superstar is probably over. What a great way to end it. He got a base hit in his first at-bat as an all-star that tied the game at 3.
Yeah.
So he'll always have that. He'll always have his first 2 months of the season, which really was a magic carpet ride. My hope for Fry is that he can just be a sustainable, versatile, not everyday player, but a guy that when you need an at-bat, you can plug him in and you can get something from him.
I'll give you another one, Kevin Moss style. Bob Hamlin, 1994, Kansas City. Wore glasses.
I think I remember him.
He was a big
heavy
hulking,
dude. Yeah.
I think left-handed hitting first baseman for the Royals. Had one monster year. Won Rookie of the Year. Never heard from him again.
Yeah, kind of Joe
and Rookie of the Year-esque. Yeah, Charbonneau-esque. I just remember Hamlin wore
injury.
Hamlin looked like a math teacher. He just had regular glasses, not even like rec specs.
Daryl Porter type glasses.
Yeah. And he mashed for 1 year.
Well, David, we still love you, and there's still a little hope and belief that you're going to find that magic stroke again and carry this team to the playoffs. He can do it. Yeah. He can do it. It's not impossible because it's a game of reactions. The first reaction is what the pitchers are going to do to what the hitters have given them on tape. Mm-hmm. That reaction has been made. I'll assure you that Chris and even to an extent David Fry are in the lab looking at videos saying, okay, so this is how they're attacking you now.
Yep.
You need plate discipline, which he's shown. You need to stay away from this, get into counts where they have to come to you, and then you have the advantage. So what adjustment does David Fry make? We'll find out.
Is plate discipline is that really something that you can teach? Because it's really hard laying off high fastballs.
I think it's just experience more than.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's something you can get in the lab and teach.
Yeah.
It's just going through it, seeing it, and then some guys can react to it and change, and some guys can't.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's mostly burned into your DNA. It's baked into the cake. In my lifetime, I always have been a sucker for anything that's above my waist.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah.
Because that's a pitch you can drive.
I can get to that.
But it's now when you get to the point where you're maybe in a 3-0 count and you get that pitch and you foul it off, you go back to the dugout saying, I haven't learned. I've been doing this for 45 years. I haven't learned that more often than not ends up in a pop-out. It's a game between the ears, much more than people think.
Yep. We couldn't get the microphone to work for Wayne. It is working with our next guest. We're going to bring on our next guest after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as we get deeper and deeper into the summer, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just don't sports like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And with that, let's welcome in Ray Schulte, who's here to give us some more information on the massive card and collectible show coming to Cleveland next week. What's up, Ray? How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Ray, it's a pleasure to have you. Jay Crawford here. I know we made some contact last week. Looking forward to seeing you in person when you come here. I was bragging earlier about the star power at this convention. And I have in front of me a list of all of the folks that are going to be in town Wednesday through Sunday. Wednesday's very short because it's later in the day, but Len Barker is the first guy on the name. I'm going to read you just the guests that are going to be here before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Earl Campbell, Trevor Hoffman, Andre Tippett, Hines Ward, Jim Kelly, Anthony Munoz, Cal Ripken Jr., Lawrence Taylor, Doug Flutie, Joe Green, Tony Baselli. This list goes on. Thurman Thomas, Johnny Manziel, of particular note to us, Mike Singletary, Bruce Smith, Urban Meyer. It is, and now we're 3 hours into the show. It goes on. There's hundreds of names, and each one is just as impressive as the one before it. How in the world do you get all these guys to come to this show?
Well, I mean, when you can attract 100,000 people, you brought up some memories for me, Jay, because, I've been with Mattingly since '84. So I went through that whole Kevin Ross situation. And Kevin's a great guy. He's really a good guy. But anyway, as a representative, you always look at venues and attractions that are going to, bring in a lot of the, your fans and collectors, and for the Nationals, it's a no-brainer to have their client there because they've got such a quantity and number of people coming in buying tickets. So and it's just the way TriStar is our vendor who brings in, actually responsible for bringing in the athletes. It's just really logistically just so simple. But it's great because they know they're going to meet some really cool fans at a venue like this. This event is not like a card show. People say, well, it's a card show. It's not a card show. It's an experience. You're talking about 500,000 square feet. You're talking about 5 days, kids under 12 and under getting free. It's family oriented, but you've got everything there. Every trading card manufacturer, every authentication house, every grading company, and so who's who of who's there. So it's one of those places where everybody, not just collectors and fans, but athletes want to come too. So it's a really great draw.
Ray, is this going to involve any other cards, or only he's going to have athletic cards?
No, that's a great question because within the last year or two, I think the expansion of the collectibles industry has been in pop culture, and pop culture brings in other varieties, other things like Star Wars, and opens it up to other trading cards. So then there'll be soccer, there'll be fighting, there'll be it kind of really. We have a saying that if you can't find it at the National, it just doesn't exist.
Ray, my son has 4 of the most popular or most in demand Pokemon cards. Charizard, I've heard him mention. Can folks bring these cards to this show and find buyers and get them graded and all of that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole part of buying, selling, and trading. I mean, a lot of these dealers are from around the country, Canada, Mexico. And they actually look for it and hope that people bring in items that they would sell to them, because they go to a different part of the country. And so they're getting, merchandise that, normally you wouldn't get anywhere else. So yeah, they definitely would love to have that come in. And I think you also too, in a way, you can bring in Pokemon, you can bring in stuff that your grandfather gave you that you have no clue. Is this a real autograph, a fake autograph? And you can bring it in, and they'll do free authentication. They'll do authentication. They'll do free appraisals, and so it's kind of like a one-stop shop for anyone. But it is really, when we say it's a once in a lifetime. It really is.
Ray, you said it's bigger than a card show. And so when you hear the word collectible, that obviously transcends just cards. What other types of items are at these things? Well,
we have the auction houses coming in, and we have like Dorothy's ruby slippers coming in. Now, can you imagine that?
Wow.
The value. We have a lot
the actual
of
ruby slippers
Willie
from the
Mays.
movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm guessing that's worth
and the
more
thing
than
I'd like
$1.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing I like to, that I want to emphasize too is that, when these corporates and when these auction houses, when they plan on coming to the National, they bring things that they normally wouldn't let out of their office, because they're on consignment, but they'll bring it to the National because they know they get the biggest exposure and the most opportunity to sell those products. But it runs a gamut in terms of like I said, ruby slippers to game used jerseys, to trading cards, to pop culture, just about everything. And that's what's so great about it. And I think the pop culture has really expanded the industry in terms of now it's, in the old days, it used to be, maybe an older gentleman and his son, they were the collectors. But now today it's the mother, it's the daughter, it's the son, the grandparents, because the pop culture has, opened this door up, because now you have Star Wars, which is not just male or female, it's universal. And then with the Star Wars, you have everything that comes with it: collectibles, trading cards, and bobbleheads, all that. So it really is pretty fascinating. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I still get excited when I walk through the opening doors there, because there's things that you've never seen before and probably wouldn't see in a typical scenario anywhere around the country.
Yeah, it really is the holy grail of card shows. And speaking of holy grail, when I was younger and really starting my collecting life, to me, I always heard that there was a Ty Cobb, I think, tobacco issued card, and there was the Mickey Mantle card was such a valuable card. What is that holy grail item today?
Well, it's funny you say that, because one of our auction houses will be bringing in a Honus Wagner T206.
Yeah, Honus Wagner. I'm sorry, I said Ty Cobb. It was the Honus Wagner. Yeah.
And you'll have the opportunity, you being any of the attendees, to actually just hold the Honus Wagner and get your photo taken with it. And then
What's
there's
that
the
worth
Mickey
now?
Mantle.
The Honus Wagner one,
Man,
what's that worth now?
Oh, it's millions. I mean, I wouldn't be the right person to. I don't want to give a wrong estimate, but it's up there. I mean, it's an amazing value. But we have, Mickey Mantle's really, up there in that stratosphere too. And again, we have another company that you can hold a Mickey Mantle, and Lou Gehrig bat, the game used bat. So you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna have an experience that you just can't get anywhere else. And what I tell people is that you don't even have to buy anything. All you have to do is just come down and check it out, look around. It's probably like the world's biggest, best quality museum ever assembled in one spot.
Do you guys have, we talk about some of the old school players, obviously guys that played in the 20s and the 30s. Do you guys have like futures, right? Is there some guys that are in the industry now where you're like, wow, in about 60 years, that guy's going to be, his cards are going to be worth X amount? Or do you guys kind of go around and pick guys who you think are going to be really popular in cards, or can you not tell? You just have to wait till time to tell?
Well, I mean, from the modern day trading card business, the manufacturers I mean, they're all up on that. They've scouted everybody, and Topps, they're continually coming out with new, projections, new, younger athletes coming out, and they'll always doing that, and again, they'll highlight that at the National. But the thing is that there's so many experts at the National that if you have questions like that, easy to find somebody to answer it, and easy to find somebody. And I think the biggest thing, and Jay, I hope all you guys can make it. But you go down there and you meet these people, and then all of a sudden you got friends for life.
Yeah.
And that's really the cool thing about it, is that you go in there. And if you have a question, maybe that guy was in California or Texas, but now you have somebody as a reference that you can call and say, "Hey, I met you at the National. I've got this question," and that's where the hobby, the community comes into play. And for me, that's what it's all about. It's all about collecting. It's not necessarily the modern cards or the vintage. It's all about the concept of collecting. And I was telling somebody earlier, basically, that it's all about life, creating memories, and you do that by photos, you do that by music, and you do that by collecting, and I think that's what keeps us going.
Right.
I don't have much of a collectible collection. I did as a kid. I had massive, but the one thing that I have from my life is a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar signed basketball that I got 30 years ago probably. It's like the one autograph that I have. So I can bring that ball and get it authenticated and get a value on it next week?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Ray, for those that are in our audience that are watching that and just heard Jason's story, and I was in communication with you earlier this week because, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't sure how it worked. PSA are sort of they're the gold standard in grading cards, and I think they do memorabilia too, but I know they do cards.
Sure.
I wasn't sure. I have a Jordan rookie that I want to get it graded. I want to see, is it the 10 that I think it is? Is it a 9? I don't know, but I want that official earmark on it that says PSA looked at this and this is what they graded at. What is the process for someone like Jason or myself that wants to bring an item to the show and have PSA graded? Because it's my understanding that they're doing on-site grading, and you can get that memorabilia back and graded by end of show, which to me is remarkable.
Well, they don't, normally grading companies, don't do that. They usually bring it back to their offices, and there's a wait time on it. But again, it's one of the services that they provide people because of the enormity of the show and the popularity of the show, that it just, they bring, I can't tell you how many people they bring, and not just PSA, but all the grading companies. But yeah, all you have to do is come in. But the great thing about that is that you can go in there and talk to different exhibitors, show them your card, and get feedback from them as well, because they're veterans. They know what the industry is like, and then you can take it to PSA, and then you can figure out. So I would just like roam the floor, ask some questions, and then when you're ready, you could take it to PSA, or there's 4 or 5 other grading companies there too. And you may want to check everyone out, just make sure that you feel comfortable.
Very good. Ray, it's great being in touch with you. I look forward to running into you at the show. It's next week. It's going to be massive. I really can't wait. Aside from the Super Bowl, and Jason has worked for The Athletic for years, Jason, you would probably second this. When you look at the list of people that are going to be in town, it's my contention that the only place on the planet where you're going to get that quality of athletic superstar is the Super Bowl.
Probably.
But the beauty of this is, as you know, the Super Bowl is mostly football driven. When you look at the list of stars that are coming into Cleveland over the next week, it's from all facets of the sporting world, and it is an impressive
You're
list.
reading a list that's like you have NBA All-Star Weekend where they bring them all in.
Right.
But it's only
It's
NBA
basketball.
guys. Yeah, this is such a unique mix. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Ray, I can't wait to see you out there. Have a great time, and thanks for joining us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. He's kind of the guru. I mean, he's been involved with this show for so long, and it really is the if you're in the business,
Yeah.
it's the must-do that you have to
I
attend
am
all year.
I'm going next week because I've always had this ball, and he just signed. I was like 18, 19.
What kind of condition is it in?
Perfect. It's a NBA ball. Like
has it been in a glass case?
Yeah, it's in the
Oh,
case.
wow.
It's never been touched or used, and he just signs Abdul-Jabbar. He never signed Kareem. It
Wow.
wasn't Lou Alcindor.
How did you come into possession of it?
He was doing a signing at MC Sports in North Olmsted when I was like 18.
MC Sporting Goods.
Wow. Holy cow.
So, and I don't remember what he was here promoting, but I was probably 18 or 19.
I would
at the
imagine
time.
there's nice value attached to that.
So it's an authentic NBA ball, and that's like, because I joke all the time, I'm dead inside. I don't care about the stuff.
You don't.
I mean, I was with LeBron for 4 years. I would never ask him for an autograph. Of
course
never,
not.
ever, never.
Well, it violates every
Yeah,
unwritten
you
rule
can't-
of
you can't do
media.
that.
No pictures, no autograph, nothing
Yeah.
with that. I'm sure my kids would love that stuff.
The unwritten message that it sends is that there is a subservient master relationship.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can't worship these guys.
You want some massive?
And then, but it kind of is. I mean, you're like, sir, can you please sign this?
Right.
By the way, late in the fourth quarter. I mean, it
I
just
would
facts.
can't happen.
I would
Facts.
never want, but like I just don't care about that stuff.
Right.
But that's the one thing because before I was really into the business, that was the one thing I had.
Would you sell it?
Oh, in a second,
would
for
sell
the
it.
right price.
Typically, after a
Pay for
player's
college.
death,
Yeah.
you'll see a bump in all of their memorabilia, particularly signed memorabilia. Why?
Can't get it no more.
Not getting any more of those.
Right. Yeah. So I never had authenticated. I mean, it was literally he was just there signing it at MC Sports. So it's never, and I never paid much attention to it because it wasn't authenticated. So, there's so many fakes around. I just didn't think much of it.
Yeah, get it
But I'm
authenticated.
gonna take that ball. I'll take
it
that ball
around on the floor. And
see what
the
it's
good thing
worth.
is I can fit my Michael Jordan rookie card in my pocket. No one knows I have it.
Yeah, I kind of got to carry.
You
this
got to
thing
carry
around.
that thing around, and
Yeah.
everybody's going to be eyeballing.
Just bring
what's
AJ as
that?
your bodyguard. Just keep safe with him. We got one topic left before we head over to WKYC today, and that topic is brought to us by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the winning formula for championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. The Browns report to training camp next week, which officially is the beginning of the 2024 season. So I figured in the dog days of summer when we have no real sports, it'd be the perfect time to put a prediction into the time capsule that we will not revisit for the Browns until after the regular season. So
I
asked
love this
each of
idea,
you
by the way.
to come up with a quote-unquote time capsule Browns take that we will revisit after Week 18. And Jason, you are going to start us off here. What was your time capsule Browns take?
It took me about 17 seconds because didn't want to be overly negative, wanted to avoid all the Deshaun stuff in general, and was like, what can I come up with? And then it hit me. Nick Chubb wins Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh, that's a good one.
I kind of feel pretty good about this one. I think.
Did you see the video of him squatting?
Yeah, and I've heard for months now he felt like he was going to be ready a lot sooner than probably the Browns were planning on him being ready. And we'll see now if they protect him a little bit from himself and hold him out. I don't know what week he's going to come back. But if I have to bet on or against Nick Chubb until further notice, I will bet on Nick Chubb every single time and not bet against him.
I've said that from jump. He is not of this world.
Yeah.
He is one of one currently.
Yeah.
There have been others before him. We've seen what they did, Adrian Peterson. This man is committed. He is driven.
Yep.
He is a workaholic. He wants to be a champion. When I initially saw it, and this is someone who's gone through 3 of these, my fear was this could be career threatening, if not ending, because he had an earlier one.
Sure.
And I know from experience that I was a little less than I was after my first, and a little less than I was after my second, and even less after my third. But he's not me. He's not the average person. This guy is going to do it again. And brilliant one. I wish I had thought of it.
Man, I seen that.
Well, it's funny, G, and before you go, because I'm going to set yours up for you, because of what G's about to say, there's no way that all three of you guys are correct. Impossible. I gave you guys the wide, broad spectrum to pick anything you want.
So we're contradictory.
And G, do you want to tell the people what you chose as your time capsule Browns take?
Yeah, I think Jay said he had 2 of them, or 3 of them. I had 2 of them, and that squatting thing was very impressive because I know I wasn't doing that after my second knee surgery. I was not doing that. I went to Comeback Player of the Year award. I went with Deshaun Watson, and the reason I picked Deshaun Watson is because I think if he plays every single week, the numbers will be there. If he plays 17 weeks, given what the Browns have, if they can get this Amari Cooper thing done, given the fact that you will have a Nick Chubb, who I think is going to come back earlier than usual. You're going to have a good running game. You're going to have a stellar defense. You're going to have new and improved weapons. And you're going to have a passing game that I think Ken Dorsey is going to let you throw the ball more. I think Deshaun Watson will put up the requisite numbers, and the team will have a good year. And I think that you look at Deshaun Watson as possibly a comeback player of the year.
Well, he better win it over. I mean, he's going to need the marks that you've set for him: 5,000 passing yards. Things like that.
I need the 4,500. If he get 4,500, I think that puts him right in the area.
See, I'm saying that because of his past and because of the way the media vilified and came after him. It's going to have to be so overwhelming a slam dunk because he's going to be the guy they least want to vote for.
Totally agree.
Now, I've already said before, I was like, it's going to be impossible for him to win the MVP. I just don't think a couple years after.
Throw him a bone for.
But here's the thing, because it works in a positive way and a negative way. The negative is like they talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Because they talk about him so much,
they can't ignore him.
They can't. Now it's open. I think they're open in doing it because you look at the Browns' schedule. They got a lot of primetime games. They had games that I don't think they would have put them on TV last year.
Right.
And generally speaking, besides Deshaun Watson, the Browns have a lot of goodwill. You got the media like the coach. The media likes Nick Chubb, and the Browns have a big fan base. So that works into his I guess, to his advantage, in some so to speak.
All right. It's interesting that we all sort of focused in on the offense when the strength of this team is the defense.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most predictable element of this team is the defense. I wouldn't have been shocked if either of you guys would have said defense is #1 defense of the year, Browns make deep playoff run. But we all went the same way in terms of offensive mindset. And I went with Deshaun Watson as well. I'm not going so far as to say he's going to be comeback player of the year, but I do believe that his run of awful luck and circumstance will end this year. I think he's going to stay healthy. I think he's going to play all 17 games. And I also think that he will lead the Browns to the playoffs. And the key word there is lead. Last year, the Browns made the playoff in spite of their quarterback play. That almost never happens, by the way. If you look at history, quarterbacks take teams to the playoffs and they take teams on playoff runs.
Yeah.
This team went on the strength of its defense. I'm not predicting that he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I don't believe he will. I don't believe they need him to be. They need him to be a top 10 to 15 quarterback in the NFL. And I still believe he can do that. I don't believe he's going to return to his Houston Texans days, but I believe that he's going to do enough that he will lead this team with the help of a great defense to the postseason. So that's where we are now. Mike, did you do one?
I didn't, but I was just thinking of one as you guys were talking.
What would
and
you
I have a super spicy one that I don't actually believe, but I want to put it out there because, well, if I say it, people are going to say, for it to happen, Myles Garrett would have to get hurt. And I'm obviously not wishing Myles Garrett to get hurt, but I was looking at the numbers last night, and the number of times the same player has led the same team in sacks year after year after year after year after, like Myles Garrett does,
right,
is extremely rare. Part of it is the durability of the position.
Sure.
Part of it is guys have a season or two, then kind of their moves get figured out. Myles Garrett, I forget the exact number, is in legitimately elite company, not just as a pass rusher, but in terms of that particular streak, leading the same team in sacks for 6 seasons in a row now. The number of guys who have done it 7, I think, was just 3 in the history of
football. Is that the record, 7?
I think it was 8. I think it was Aaron Donald with 8.
Okay.
Once again, I'm not saying I believe this, but
it's
as far as
spicy.
a bold, spicy take, Myles Garrett doesn't lead the Browns in sacks this year.
Yeah, well, for that to happen, he would have to get hurt.
Yeah.
Which I'm not wishing. I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
You're just playing history.
Yeah.
You're just playing on history.
I mean, if we wanted to be cute and you said which is most likely to happen out of all 3 of us, they would have come out down and say, you guys are all losing it. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, two times in a row is the most likely thing to happen.
Ooh, that's rare, too.
I mean,
It's extremely rare.
I think J.J. Watt did it, right? That's the most
I think he
recent.
did.
I haven't seen Deshaun Watson throw for 4,000 in a long time, and I haven't seen that many people come back from knee injuries like the one Nick Chubb is. But I see Myles Garrett getting 14 sacks all the time. He just does.
I think it's an interesting stat. I'm curious. I think the reason it's twofold. 1, he's an elite player. 2, it speaks to the lack of depth the Browns have had on their defensive line and the lack of another A- or B+ quality player to go along with not just an A+, but the best that does it. Also, it's kind of like it's almost akin to saves in baseball. It's rare that you'll have a team lead the team in saves for more than 3 or 4 years because the burnout at that position is incredibly high. Now, what the Guardians are doing with Clase is kind of in that conversation. And when you look at it historically, you've had guys. Eckersley was a starter for the first half of his career.
Yep.
Trevor Hoffman did it with the Padres, and obviously Mariano, who was the gold standard, did it with the Yankees. But outside of that, you don't have that player dominance for a long string of time because it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
You got to stay at the top of your trade for a long time, and that's really difficult to do. Do we have any super chats you want to read? Because
we don't have any super chats.
Okay.
I'm doing a quick search to see if anyone has more than 8. But Aaron Donald doing it 8 years in a row is just stupid. His numbers are so
nuts.
stupid. Every time I look him up, I'm like, holy crap, he's even better than I remembered. And I already think he's maybe unquestionably the best defensive tackle of all time.
Well, I don't think the Rams have a Super Bowl if not for his late game heroics against the Bengals. And to be perfectly honest, we've seen in playoff history, when you look at games that were decided in the last minutes of the game, they're either decided by quarterbacks or kickers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're never decided by a defensive player who on back-to-back plays, when his team absolutely needed it to secure the ring, he stood up and played at the elite level that we expected him to.
Yep.
And it's still mind-boggling. Go back and watch those last 2 plays and the impact he had on them. Otherwise, I do think the Bengals have a Super Bowl ring.
Could be right.
I really do. All right, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to WKYC. We've got 30 minutes of program over there for you, as Mikey loves to say, never before seen Browns content. So we'll see you over on Channel 3, WKYC, 12:30, bottom of the hour.